All right, so let's start with the big story that we're tracking on Beyond This Hour, where Donald Trump has survived a second impeachment trial in the Senate, ending Democrats' efforts to hold the former president accountable for the deadly Capitol riot. Now, the U.S. Senate acquitted him on charge of incitement of insurrection. Now, the Senate convened for a rare weekend session to deliver its verdict. The trial concluded with an insufficient 57 to 43 majority of senators voting to convict Trump. But to convict Trump in the Senate, what was needed was a two-thirds majority in the chamber. 67 senators were necessary to convict Trump, but that figure was not reached. Now, this was the most bipartisan impeachment trial vote ever. 7 Republicans broke ranks to join all 50 Democrats in seeking a conviction. In the 5-day trial, the Democrat impeachment managers had argued that Trump had betrayed his oath of office by urging his supporters to storm the Congress. The trial was bolstered by some dramatic video footage from the 6th of January riot.
We're extraordinarily gratified that the United States Senate decided, as they did, to protect our constitutional way of life and not go down the road of endless impeachments.
Now, Donald Trump is presently secluded in his Florida club since having left office on the 20th of January. He's now put forth a statement expressing thanks for the verdict. Now, Trump has called the proceedings as yet another phase of the greatest witch hunt in the history of the United States of America. And despite the stain of a second impeachment, the 74-year-old Republican has also hinted at a possible political future. The minutes after voting to acquit Donald Trump of the impeachment charge, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said that there is still no question that Trump was practically and morally responsible for provoking the deadly attack on the Capitol. While House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has scoffed at the Senate Republicans who voted to acquit Donald Trump of inciting the siege at the Capitol.
Everybody off the hook. Oh, these cowardly senators who couldn't face up to what the president did and what was at stake for our country are now going to have a chance to give a little slap on the wrist. We censure people for using stationery for the wrong purpose. We don't censure people for inciting insurrection that kills people in the Capitol.
There's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. No question about it. The people who stormed this building believed they were acting on the wishes and instructions of their president.
All right, now to give us more insights as to what all of this, of course, means, we are joined in by our correspondent, Simon Marks, who's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Simon, thank you very much indeed for joining us on this broadcast and beyond. And let me begin by asking you this. The vote was on expected lines. The Republicans, of course, expected that this Senate trial would, of course, not convict Trump. And that's precisely what has happened, where the two-thirds majority mark was not reached and Donald Trump has been acquitted.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. For Donald Trump to have been convicted, 17 Republican senators would have had to decide to cross the line and vote with the Democrats. Remember, of course, that at this point, for Donald Trump, conviction would have no impact on his presidency because he's already a former president. But it would have blocked him from ever seeking elected office in the United States again. In the end, an historic number of Republicans crossed the aisle, 7, but insufficient for conviction to occur. Some of those Republicans who decided to vote in favor of conviction were a surprise. They included Senator Richard Burr of North Carolina, and who is retiring at the next election, so he had nothing to lose. But Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, from an absolutely dyed-in-the-wool red conservative state, has everything to lose, and indeed tonight he's already on the receiving end of recriminations for his decision to convict Donald Trump. He's been censured by the Louisiana Republican Party for making that decision. But for Donald Trump, at the end of the day, this is a win, and it's a big win because it means that his hopes of reviving his political career remain alive. And you could see that in the statement that Donald Trump put out as soon as this verdict was delivered. He called the impeachment trial yet another phase of the greatest witch hunt in the history of the United States. No president, he said, has ever gone through anything like it, a phrase that he often uses when he forgets that there are presidents in American history who have actually been assassinated. So people have gone through a lot worse than this. But he then sends a very clear message to his supporters. He tells them, our historic, patriotic and beautiful movement to make America great again has only just begun. In the months ahead, I will have much to share with you. He tells his supporters, we have so much work ahead of us, and soon we will emerge with a vision for a bright, radiant and limitless American future. Those are the words of a man who thinks he personally has a political future, maybe another presidential run in him in 2024, but certainly the opportunity in 2022 at the midterm elections to endorse Republican candidates of whom he approves and to challenge in primary contests Republican senators and members of the House of Representatives who turned against him in this impeachment process with candidates that he hopes will unseat them. He remains tonight the most potent force in Republican politics here, despite the fact that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, turned against him and excoriated him after casting that vote to acquit.
Absolutely, indeed. Now, another aspect of this is, of course, about fixing accountability for what happened on the 6th of January at the Capitol. Now, with this acquittal, now, does it mean that we still don't know as to who incited the mob to actually storm the Capitol on the 6th of January?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear from the voluminous amounts of evidence that the Democrats presented at this trial, and indeed from the words of the Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, today, that we all know who was behind this, and it was, of course, former President Donald Trump. He's definitely at risk of further legal jeopardy over this, and it's important to underscore, Mohammed, the Senate trial is not a legal trial.
Right.
So it doesn't in any sense protect him against the possibility of civil and criminal actions that could lie ahead for what took place here on January the 6th, with calls growing for an independent commission of inquiry to probe exactly what took place.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Simon Marks, for joining us and getting us all those updates on this very crucial story that we've been tracking very closely here on WION. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.